Hey friends, Jonathan Saenz here, president of Texas Values Action. We're here on the floor of the Republican Party of Texas Convention in the exhibit hall, and things are buzzing a lot. There were some big votes today. There's some big speeches. The energy is up a little bit, excitement, and so we're right in the middle of it, as we like to be. And we're also right in the middle with endorsing Jon Bonck for Congress, who came off a huge victory from not only in March, but then in the runoff in May, taking over a seat you may have heard of quite a bit because Wesley Hunt was in that seat for quite a long time. But that's right here in the Houston area, which is where we are at the George R. Brown Convention Center. My hometown, born and raised, H-Town guy. I said HTX earlier on a video because I'm thinking about, because I live in Austin now, I was like, oh, my Houston guys are going to get on me. It's H-Town. I know. All right, y'all calm down. It'll be okay. All right, but we get to have these great conversations with friends, and so one of those, over the past year, we've got to know each other and really been impressed with the work and the leadership he's doing, is Jon Bonck, running for Congress now, the Republican nominee. Good to see you, brother.
Yeah, thanks, Jonathan. I really appreciate it. I'm really thankful for Texas Values for putting their name next to mine, helping me run in a field of 10 people. And I have a very Republican seat. Wesley won at 60-40 in the general. It's one of the most conservative red seats in Texas. And so the people in Texas 38 want to know who is the conservative in this race. And I made the strong case that I was.
Well, look, that was a crowded field you started with. 10 people in an area where I'm sure there were a lot of people that felt like, I can win this race and then I'll have a, not too difficult of a victory or a pathway in November, which is good to see a lot of interest. So people want to run for office, if you will. But you had not run for office before, so you never know how those things are going to be turned out. But, you earned the confidence of the voters.
Yeah, man, I think President Trump got into office in 2016, and the country was ready for an outsider, ready for an executive. I'm a business owner, small business owner. My wife and I started a real estate business together. A business partner and I built a mortgage business together, and so people are ready for a strong conservative, but an outsider. Right now in Congress, you'd be shocked, Jonathan. 30% of the people in our nation's capital right now own a business or have owned. So that means 70% of our nation's legislators have never owned a business. Don't know how to manage a budget, manage a P&L, or be responsible for the livelihoods of their employees. The country is ready for business leaders to get into office, solve problems, and deliver real results.
Well, and you see that a lot in Texas. A lot of entrepreneurial people, a lot of, business people. It's funny, when I was talking about doing the work I do before law school, but law and policy, my dad was like, you ought to go into business. You ought to start. And I was like, Dad, I'll get there eventually. And actually I have. I started Texas Values. I now lead this business, but, where I started was really based on my faith. But you're absolutely right. I mean, the work that we do, managing a budget, looking out for people that work for you, and providing opportunities as well. Speaking of your background and your connections, in the district is where you go to church, Second Baptist Church, probably one of the largest churches in Texas, certainly in that district. What has that community meant to you as a candidate, but also as a family man?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my home church is where I met my wife. We met in Bible study class 16 years ago, been married over 11 years. We have an 8-year-old daughter, 5-year-old son, and having a biblical worldview, raising them in a Christian home is so important to me. I say this all the time. Marriage is the foundation of the family, and the family is the foundation of this nation. And so we got to get back to where we have godly values in this country again. We have godly people leading this country again. And so the evangelical voting bloc in Texas 38 was totally behind me. Obviously, it did help to have a large church family. But I went to a lot of different churches, met a lot of different pastors, a lot of congregants, and they are ready for Christian values to be back in the forefront of our policy making.
Well, you came out into an event we were a part of at Gallery Furniture. Speaking of places that are important in the district, in the Houston area, somebody like Jim, Mattress Mac, as many of us call him, Jim McIlvain, who's been so important to the community. But in the district, you've got Jersey Village, you've got Champions. What are some of the bigger neighborhoods?
Yeah, I mean, I have the Galleria area, right there where we have the Post Oak Hotel. It's kind of the crown jewel of that area, but it's the energy corridor. It's the energy capital of the world. It's the folks that are up in Tomball. Cypress has some of the largest master plan development communities in the country, like Bridgeland and Town Lake. Yes. And these are young professionals, young families. They want opportunity, they want freedom, and they want those family values back in Congress.
Well, speaking of getting married and having kids, it makes me think of Charlie Kirk, right? He talked a lot about, get married, have a family. A lot of young leaders that are coming up are thinking about that. I imagine there are voters that, in your age group, younger than me, and maybe younger than that have connected with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's an affordability crisis in our country right now. The average first-time home buyer is 40 years old. And so young people are looking for solutions to help them achieve the American dream. And to me, the American dream is owning a home, being married, raising your kids, and having the opportunity to build a business or build a career. And that's what Houston is.
Well, and the data backs that up as well. So as you feel good about winning the getting to the runoff and then winning the runoff in May, and you're around a lot of like-minded people here, also shifting towards November. And I know the district's strongly Republican, but what do you see as the strategy or sort of the pathway to victory going into November?
Yeah, one of the exciting things for me, Jonathan, is that I have 1/7 of the population in Harris County, but I have 1/3 of the Republicans. And so if we're going to win a county-wide election, like Orlando Sanchez, our nominee, who's going against Letitia Plummer for Harris County Judge, who's a radical Islamist, guys. Like, she is left of the left. And then we also have General Paxton going against James Tallarico. I've got to do my part to get the Republicans out in Texas 38 to support the ticket. And we do that, then I'll win in a landslide, and we'll get everybody else across the finish line.
Yeah, little tidbit, little background. I blocked walked for Orlando Sanchez. I think I was in law school. I was running for city council way back when I was like nobody and just trying to, get in there, get my feet wet or whatever. And it's great to see that he's still active and an important part of our city. I still like to think of Houston as home. I'm not here as often as I used to be, but a good amount of time. But it is the largest city in the state, 4th largest in the country. There's still a lot of opportunities, some of the places you mentioned that are booming. And I do think there's a lot more voters here that are looking for good candidates, whether they consider themselves Republicans or Democrat. They're winnable.
Absolutely, and I think we're going to have a lot of big wins coming up. President Trump brought in new people.
You got the Trump endorsement, too.
I sure did. Grateful to have the president's support. But he ran on very common sense things, right? The president is doing a revolution of common sense right now. And the Hispanic vote, which is a huge vote in Harris County, they believe in God, they believe in family, and they believe in hard work and being rewarded for that hard work. And so that's where we're going to win countywide here.
And I know this is not in your district, in Congressional District 38. I don't think it is. The Galena Park and Pasadena area where I grew up in, my friend Richard Vega told me that they flipped that to a Republican area. I'm like, God bless them. Anyway, that's some stories I'll tell another day about my old stomping grounds and the politics back there. But that tells you something about how the people – and really, I think a lot of it is whether it's Republican or Democrat. I think a lot of it's the issues that conservatives are standing on. That's what's motivating voters.
Yeah, I mean, parents don't want men and women's sports. They don't want men in their kids' locker room. They want to be part of a movement that's pro-God, pro-family, and pro-merit-based results.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, we're not that far away from November, but at the same time, a few months in between. But, a lot of energy here, a lot of talk about unity in the Republican Party of Texas, but a chance to catch your breath a little bit and reset for November. We saw the governor earlier. I see his security people behind us. They brought an elephant into
a massive elephant, not a baby elephant, guys, full-grown elephant.
It's hard not to mention that because I'm looking at, they say her name is Paige. Anyway, fun stuff, but a lot of excitement over here, and I think sort of maybe that new group of people, if you will, like yourself, that's getting ready to, take some leadership positions. But we're excited for what the future looks like for you, and thank you for spending some time with us, sir.
Thanks, Jonathan. Appreciate it. Thank you, Texas Values.
All right, that wraps it up for this special segment of the Texas Values Action Report.